The war in Ukraine has been going on for a long time now, and the one thing which has been constant since the war broke out is Ukraine's demand to join the world's most powerful military alliance, NATO. Although for Kyiv, that demand still remains a dream. But in the latest, the Chief of Staff to the NATO Secretary General might have given a solution to Ukraine on how to join the alliance. NATO Chief of Staff Sten Jensen suggested that Ukraine may gain NATO membership in exchange for giving up some territories to Russia. And this may be part of the end to the war in Ukraine. The Chief of Staff gave these remarks in a panel debate in Arendal. Well, since the war broke out, Ukraine has lost several grounds to Russia. This includes the likes of Crimea and parts of Donetsk, Kherson, Luhansk, Mykolaiv, and Zaporizhia oblasts. So if we go according to the comments made by NATO's Chief of Staff, if Ukraine cedes all of these territories, will it pave way for Kyiv to get the membership of NATO? Well, Sten Jensen, who is the Chief of Staff for NATO's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg in Brussels, said it can. Stoltenberg himself has not been willing to discuss possible solutions for Ukraine after Russia's invasion. The Secretary General has consistently said that it must be up to Ukraine to decide both the time and terms for any negotiations with Russia to end the war. Although when Stoltenberg's closest collaborator in NATO was asked if he believes ceding territories to NATO is the only way forward, Jensen pointed out that the discussion about possible status after the war is already underway, and that question about ceding territory to Russia is raised by others. He was quick to say that he is not saying that it has to be like this, but that could be a possible solution. And even if Ukraine cedes its territory, any expansion of the military alliance must be agreed by all 31 members. Although for Ukraine, one thing is clear. With Kyiv still being actively involved in the war, it is a huge hurdle for Ukraine. Even the US president has said to consider Ukraine's membership for NATO, the war with Russia has come to an end, or must come to an end. This is because if Kyiv is made a member of the alliance, then it will immediately draw the alliance into an active war. As under Article 5 of NATO's Washington's treaty, any attack on one ally is considered an attack on all allies, which NATO is currently unwilling to do as they try to shield their country from a possible Russian aggression. Joachim Bitterlich is a former German ambassador to NATO and former European diplomatic and security advisor to German Chancellor Helmut Kohl. He is now joining us from Normandy. Joachim,
hello.
Thank you very much for joining us this hour on WION World is One. Having listened to what the Chief of Staff in NATO, that's Sten Jensen, says that for peace to prevail and for the war to end, and for Ukraine to join the NATO, then they have to give up their territories to Russia. What do you think will be the reaction of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky after these statements?
I think he will react in the same time, in the same way as he has been reacting in the past. Not any abandon of any Ukrainian territory. And I'm a bit astonished by this opinion of a Chief of Staff of Jens Stoltenberg. It's not realistic at the end. Look, last week the Russians repeated once again, the condition is an unconditional surrender of Ukraine. And on the other hand, Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, told to people, what we want to reach is to get back the whole territory of the Ukraine, plus NATO membership, plus EU membership. Please, under these conditions, I don't see any realistic debate about the end of a war. It's reminding me to my own proposals I've made before the beginning of this war. At that time, speaking about neutrality of Ukraine, an armed neutrality, speaking about a special status for the Crimea, speaking about a special status for the Donbass with a certain cultural autonomy, a plan at that time more or less accepted by Moscow and no more accepted by Kyiv. And therefore, it's nice to hear people to launch or to try to bring in certain move into the debate, but up till now, no, I don't see it. The only one who could move either is a strong movement by the Americans, by Biden, or a strong movement with a hint by the neutral states, among them India, South Africa, and others.
Joachim,
but for most, see.
Joachim, looking at all these statements and looking at all these developments at this hour, do you think that the membership of NATO for Ukraine still is important for the country, still is important for President Volodymyr Zelensky going forward? If these member states, the 31 member states, do not accept the membership of Ukraine into the alliance, what will happen next?
But please be aware that NATO membership is only possible once the war is over, once a peace settlement is found. That's the position of NATO and of a majority of NATO member states, including the Americans, including the British, the French, and the Germans. And therefore, any other, let's say, solution would be, let's say, would not never fly at the end of the day. Please, let's be aware there is a certain conditioning of, and it could be a result. I'm not sure whether it will be really possible at the end of the day.
All right. I've been talking to Joachim Bitterlich. He's a former German ambassador to NATO and also former European diplomatic and security advisor to German Chancellor Helmut Kohl. Joachim, thank you very much for your insights and for talking to us today.
A pleasure as always. Goodbye.
Goodbye. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.